This is the most important criteria that I could possibly use when determining success or not success, or failure when sourcing a private label product. Okay, so and what it is how can I differentiate and add value? So I'm going to show you guys just a couple of ways that we can differentiate here. Well, first, let me tell you why this is important. So back in the day, 2014 and before, it didn't really matter what you were doing. There used to be the days of you could go on private label and just throw a label on it, put your own logo, and then sell and kill it. Well, those days are over. That's not going to work anymore. Maybe if you catch an early market, that's still possible, but I just don't believe that it works anymore. Or if it does, you have to have the best marketing and you have to have a lot of dollars and you have to do some tricks to get it ranking. Otherwise, people just basically aren't going to buy your product because when you have less reviews and the same product as the other guy and he is just as good of a listing, why would they buy yours? And you're not ranking as high as him either. It just doesn't make sense from that perspective. The way that you can convince somebody or yourself, like think if you were looking at the listings, why would you buy your product over the others? Well, there's certain ways. Now, then if you play to those certain ways, you can speak out to that individual customer. So I think it's very important to understand the use case for your product and what they are, who the customer is. So that's how you're going to be able to find a way to add value or differentiate. So the first one is going to be, how can you make a better assortment of goods? Okay. Let's say we're going into a market and we're going just on Amazon. All right, so let's say we are looking at GoPro accessories and they're all different assortments, okay, for different markets and whatnot. So you can tell that people are buying whatever is the most efficient assortment for them, and there is a way to add value there. Now, there has been a bit of consolidation in this one actually over time just because there's such high volume and then it's like who can get the most in there. But this is just to prove the point essentially that there are certain ways that you can make an assortment and you get the economies of scale, and that's going to allow people to want to buy yours over the others because it's the best value for their deal. So that is one way. Now, let's say a different size, okay? And let me show you an example of that. Okay, so we have an example of how size can be important here. So there's these, essentially these wet wipes that people are using for camping or after they work out or whatnot, and they can't take a shower and they want to clean themselves off. So what was right here? Simply by increasing the size of these wet wipes, they are now more valuable to somebody because they can clean off their entire body with just one wipe. So that's an example of how they've added value through adding the size. Or just think about different markets where a larger product or a smaller product would be more appealable. So let's say we're looking at a case for a drone, which for me, having a very small case was really important because I'm traveling and walking around with this. So yeah, there's those people who are going to want the very heavy duty case that's going to protect their drone. There may be a professional, but then on the other side, there's the travel people who want something that's very efficient. So there's obviously the one for the more professional, and then the travel guys, and there are all sorts of different ones. So that is one way to differentiate. All right, so another way you could differentiate is simply adding a different color. Like let's say for an example, you were selling a fitness accessory or something, and there was just black and just the generic colors, but perhaps there is a subset of women, to not to be stereotypical, but there's no pink ones, okay? And my sisters love pink. They're as womanly as you could get, and so they would buy anything pink. So there you can add a color, and then that's going to be speaking out to that customer who's underserved in the market. So there's also the difference of adding features, okay? So let's say there was a handle on something that wasn't the best, or we could go back to these drone cases, and perhaps there was, some people wanted a place to also put their laptop in. So, or like different organizations, basically any way that people are looking for features or say they wish something was like this, but it's not. So a good way that you could go and do that is go look at the reviews. Okay, so make sure to go and watch the video on how to download all your negative reviews, and that's a very valuable way to get this feedback on how to differentiate in general, because that's what I did with the Eclipse glasses, and that's how I found all these different ways. I knew that, oh wait, there's people who are talking about using cameras, and also that there's light leakage. So I made the goggles, solved the light leakage problem. I also found out that people wanted stuff for the camera, and then I was able to make filters for that and filters for telescopes. So by reading through those reviews, you're really going to learn a lot and find these ways to differentiate. All right, so another way is going to be design. So you could change there's two types of design. So there are the basic aesthetics. So let's say a t-shirt, the design on that is, that's very subjective, or a piece of art, or anything else where you can have subjective design. So this could also come into play with things that serve a utility. For example, my Eclipse glasses, I did 99 designs, and I spent hundreds of dollars and got over 35 designs, because I knew that by having the best designed glasses, people would be more likely to buy mine over the others, because while they were buying it for a specific purpose, why not? They want the best designed one too. So they want the best, highest quality with the best design. So that was a way that I was able to differentiate there. Now, there is also the 3D form factor design. Now, this one is going to be a little bit harder, because if you have to open a new mold and get a whole new, basically, if you're not just adding something very simple, it's going to cost a lot more unless you have a good relationship with your supplier. But this is a really good way to differentiate, because you can get design patent if you make a unique change. It's a lot more simple than that. I may have a video on this in the future. If not, Google what a design patent requirements are. But by having this mold and putting your company name into it, by the way, so that they don't reproduce that mold, you're going to differentiate yourself, and people will buy it. So one example of a design, well, let's just say my Eclipse goggles, okay? So they had a better design that actually added features that it blocked out less light than did the other glasses. So I was adding a feature and a cool looking design, and so that is how I was able to charge, where everybody else was charging $2 a glass, I was charging $30 for one goggle. Okay, so because I solved and differentiated, I was the only person on the market, no PPC, no anything to get that launched, and it killed it. So that is one great example. And I guess that also goes into just the more effective solution. Okay, so but be careful that you are inventing within what people are looking, and just whatever your product offering is actually better. And then just better marketing to the customer. Okay, so if you're looking into a market and it is all targeted towards a certain group of people, and you know that there are other groups that are underserved by either reading the reviews or using your own gut instinct, you can market to that group of people. And then now this product, even though it may be the same, it's just marketed and pitched differently, so that other people get the right feeling that, this one seems like it's for me. For example, supplements, they're all basically the same thing, but they all market themselves in different ways. Let me see if I can find an example. All right, so right here we have the premium brain function, this one right here, Brain Boost, and what they focus on is memory, focus, and clarity. This one is more focused on energy, and then over here, this one's also focused on energy. So by having the different pitch, people are looking for nootropics, but certain ones speak out to different types of people based off the different, what are the people that are looking for nootropics? What do they actually want? Who are they? So you're going to market differently to a different group of people. For example, Genius Mushrooms is a very different group of people compared to some of these other ones. All right, now I want to show you guys what it would look like if a market is full. Okay, so there's really not much room for differentiation. So that is going to look like this. So if we take a look, silicone baking mat, the way that I can tell is if all of the results are generally the same thing, I really have no way to come in and differentiate. That shows me a sign. So reviews aside and everything, if all the results are similar, that's clearly what the market wants for that keyword and that product group. So I unless I have some great way, so I would look at my checklist. Let's say, what have we got there? A better assortment. Well, they have 1, 2, and 3. So and it looks like everybody just wants a silicone baking mat at the end of the day. They already covered, there's already assortments and colors. There's already that, like maybe maybe I could go with size here, but I'm guessing that, I don't know how much beneficial a giant one is, but maybe this one is right there. I'm not sure exactly. Now, I guess that this one did actually a pretty good job. So they add on a nice design onto that. So if I'm thinking like if I was a professional baker, now this one kind of reaches out to me. So they did a good job of differentiating by knowing who their customer was. Okay, so, but different sizes already covered. The assortment, we can't really do that. I don't really know how we're going to have a premium one if they're all essentially the same type. Maybe I could make some revolutionary one, but if these work and they're cheap, like, I just don't see what color that's already taken. Features, what are you going to add to this? I don't know what I would really add. What else is there? Design. It's a flat mat, I just don't see there in the design aesthetics. Somebody's already done that. More effective solution. I don't know that I'm going to revolutionize a silicone baking mat. And then better marketing the customer. That guy already did it. And how many professionals are actually buying these? I need to research in, but this would be an example of somewhere where I would just be sticking away because it's filled out. Okay. They're all very similar, but then like all these options have been taken, I would be getting out of that. But let's say one where there is ability to differentiate. So right here we have wedding gifts, okay? Do you see the variety? I just want everybody to look at the variety of the results because that shows you there is room for innovation and differentiation, that whatever people are looking for, it is not solved yet, okay? All right, so as we're looking here, there's clearly people like glasses, but they have mugs, they have classic glasses, but like basically the whole theme here is they want matching things or anything to do with their new relationship. So look, there's even literally a card. There's a greeting card. Nothing is the same here, but yet there is some, there's some pretty good revenue here. And there's definitely room for differentiation. So if you had a good idea for a wedding gift that could move enough volume, you could innovate and rank properly, and you could get into this market. So this would be something, granted, reviews aren't too bad, actually. And that's the other thing. When there is room, so I talk about reviews a lot, but when you look at this market, you don't particularly need the most reviews because if you do something different, you're the only one. That is the only solution. So as long as it meets a certain criteria that people can be trusting that it's good quality, for example, a gift is very personalized, and you want it's a representation of yourself. While it's serving the utility of giving a gift, it is that representation of yourself. So people will want to be more willing to go out on a limb for something that is even higher priced and more different if it meets their needs the best out of all these solutions. So that's where. So lastly, like with my Eclipse goggles, that was an example where I was able to differentiate. I had several of those criteria, and it was within the keyword, and it worked. So there's a whole spectrum of ways that you can differentiate. So in the end, there's a lot of ways that you can differentiate your product. And I think now going into the future, to stay competitive, you got to do something to differentiate. And I guess the last one that I didn't talk about is you could just have cash. You could have cash and a really good marketing team. By that, I mean you're really good at making images and a listing, and you're confident in your ability to outrank the other people, and you're just a more advanced seller. But my guess is if you're watching this, you're probably not at that point because those people are probably not watching this video. So I hope that this is helpful and that you guys go out and actually put in time to do something different in your market and give yourself that competitive edge. That's how you're going to get not only have a better chance at not only are you going to have a better chance at being successful, you're actually going to be solving a market that isn't, or you're actually going to be solving a need in the market that hasn't been solved yet. So people are going to like your company more because it's like, wow, hey, that was good. Like that was the only thing that, like, this is the only one that met my needs there. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for making it. So that's how you're going to get more engaged and thankful fans as well. So I mean, if you just had a little bit better of a silicone baking spoon, where, like, how many of those, when you buy something utilitarian that was the same as everything else, but it just looked like the best option, do you really ever remember that company? At least I don't. Maybe, no, I mean, I guess Anchor's the only one that I really do, but anyways, regardless, if you guys have other ideas of how to differentiate, let me know. Let's leave them below, but this is a very important factor, and don't overlook it. On to the next one.